Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're diving deep into the world of United States wheat pennies, specifically the top 7 most expensive and valuable 1-cent wheat penny old coins ever discovered. These aren't just old copper cents, they are powerful pieces of American history, highly sought-after treasures that continue to captivate collectors, investors, and coin lovers around the world. From rare early-date issues to exceptional high-grade survivors and dramatic varieties, each coin on this list carries both historical weight and serious market value. Stay tuned, you might be surprised to learn what a simple penny can be worth today. Let's get started. First up, in the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, stands as one of the most fascinating and highly pursued artifacts in early 20th century United States numismatics, especially when evaluated as the most expensive and valuable example known in extraordinary collectible states. Even in its most dirty, most old, and heavily handled discovered condition today, this coin captures collectors through the sheer power of its historical gravity, aesthetic legacy, and long-standing desirability in the marketplace. Its presence in any collection speaks loudly, a prized treasure with both financial weight and emotional resonance, continuously captivating serious enthusiasts in today's aggressively competitive coin market. Produced during a pivotal period between World War I recovery and pre-World War II economic transformation, the 1939 no-mint mark wheat penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a facility responsible for generating the foundational circulating coinage of the nation. As part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, this coin functioned as a daily witness to the American working class, presidential memorialization, and federal stability at a moment of mounting global uncertainty. Every surviving 1939 penny acts as a tangible connection to a nation preparing for historic change, a moment frozen in copper. On the obverse of the coin, the sculpted profile of President Abraham Lincoln stands in restrained classical realism, the first portrait of an actual historical figure ever placed on a U.S. everyday coin, paired with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1939. The reverse features the bold wheatears flanking 1 cent, United States of America, with EPLURIBUSUNUM arching above. Struck in bronze composition, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, with a standard weight of 3.11 grams and diameter of 19, the coin's design remains iconic and instantly recognizable even under layers of age-earned dirt and oxidation. The rarity of valuable 1939 Philadelphia wheat pennies emerges most strongly not from low mintage alone. They were produced in healthy quantities, but from the survival rate of pristine or extraordinary specimens, especially high-grade uncirculated or rare double-die varieties. Circulation wore down the overwhelming majority, and few have endured in untouched or sharply struck condition. The challenge of locating crisp, blazing, mint-state examples from 1939 makes high-end survivors remarkably desirable, driving fierce acquisition competition among serious U.S. cent collectors. In terms of market value, the most exceptional examples, such as certified MS-66 to MS-68 coins or dramatic double-die discoveries with the 1939 no-mint mark, have shown strong prices in the upper range for pre-war wheat cents. Depending on condition, variety, and eye appeal, top-grade pieces have been known to realistically trade in the range of $1,000 to $8,000 in today's active numismatic environment. While filthy or heavily circulated versions are typically worth only modest sums, the highest caliber certified examples remain aggressively pursued due to historical weight, visual appeal, and long-term investment stability. For collectors building a position in this area, the wisest approach is to prioritize coins authenticated and graded by reputable services, focusing especially on sharply struck mint-state examples and any known double-die or early die-state anomalies. Avoid raw coins of questionable origin, handle only with gloves or by the edges if inspection is unavoidable, and store them in temperature-stable, oxygen-controlled holders. Active participation in auctions, specialist communities, and professional forums dramatically increases both knowledge and acquisition opportunity. The 1939 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is not merely another cent in the long series. It is a concentrated capsule of American identity, presidential permanence, pre-war economics, and the enduring artistry of early 20th century coinage execution. The combination of iconic design, cultural proximity, and condition-driven scarcity elevates it from currency to legacy artifact. For the right collector with the right eye and patience, it stands as one of the most rewarding and powerful mid-century copper coins to pursue in the market today. In closing, this coin's blend of historical gravity, visual tradition, and rarity under preservation standards firmly secures its status among the most compelling United States wheat cents ever struck. As values continue to track steadily upward with demand, the 1939 Lincoln penny in its most exceptional forms remains a prized treasure, an irreplaceable link to America's numismatic and national past, worthy of pursuit and admiration by collectors worldwide. Next up in the 1940 Lincoln Wheat Penny, without a mint mark, stands as one of the most fascinating and continuously admired collectible coins in United States numismatics, especially when evaluated in its most expensive and valuable forms in the market today. Even coins found in extremely dirty, most old, heavily worn condition still command attention because of their strong historical roots and the powerful legacy embedded in the Lincoln series. Its enduring desirability, rich historical importance, and active demand make it a prized treasure that continues to captivate collectors and investors in all corners of the numismatic world. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1940, this coin belongs to the longest-running small cent design in U.S. circulation history, the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. Minted just before America's entry into World War II, this humble cent carried the weight of a country edging into one of the most defining global events of the century. Issued during a period of economic recovery and rising geopolitical tension, the 1940 penny serves as a tangible connection to that pre-war era and the social and industrial shifts happening within the United States at that time. On the obverse, the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, engraved by Victor David Brenner, appears with the inscriptions "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date 1940. The reverse presents the classic twin wheat stalks framing the denomination 1 cent with United States of America beneath and EPLURIBUSUNUM above. Composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the coin weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. Even after years of circulation, grime, and surface aging, the design remains recognizable and iconic, especially when appreciated in higher preserved grades. The true rarity value of the 1940 Philadelphia Wheat Penny arises not from a low production number but from preservation scarcity. Only a very limited number survive in exceptionally high-grade, uncirculated, or double-die varieties. Most of these coins served long periods in circulation and were handled repeatedly, leaving very few pristine specimens behind. Locating sharply struck, original luster variants without scratches, tunning, or wear is extremely challenging, which drives competitiveness and elevates price potential among dedicated Lincoln cent collectors. In the modern marketplace, premium examples of the 1940 no-mint mark Wheat Penny, especially those certified at MS66, MS67, or with dramatic double-die features, have proven capable of commanding strong results ranging plausibly from $1,000 to $8,000, depending on eye appeal, rarity, and documented provenance. These valuations are strengthened by the historical context of the issue, the timeless visual elegance of the design, the collector loyalty to the Lincoln series, and the continuing appreciation trend for high-grade pre-war copper coinage. For anyone collecting this date, the wisest strategy is to target graded and authenticated pieces from trusted certification services, pay attention to die varieties and strike quality, and avoid improperly cleaned or corroded examples. Storage should be in archival holders with no bare-hand contact or unnecessary movement that could degrade surfaces. Engaging in specialized collector communities, attending auctions, and studying pricing archives will dramatically enhance both knowledge and buying confidence. When viewed as a collectible object, the 1940 no-mint mark Wheat Penny represents far more than small denomination currency. It is an artistic, economic, and historical artifact anchored in a pivotal American decade. The coin fuses simplicity with symbolism, linking Lincoln's moral legacy to a nation on the threshold of global conflict. That deep resonance elevates it well beyond its face value and positions it as one of the most satisfying additions to any advanced wheat cent portfolio. Beyond its physical form, the 1940 Wheat Penny commands admiration because it bridges everyday American commerce with extraordinary historical consequence. This coin circulated through the hands of citizens living on the brink of global war, school children buying bread, soldiers receiving pay, families paying taxes, and merchants conducting business in the shadow of what would soon become one of the most defining eras in human history. To own an original 1940-centric relic today is to own a silent witness to that transitional moment, a copper time capsule that tells a story without a single spoken word. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for producing this no-mint mark issue, played a central role in stabilizing the monetary system during the late Depression recovery and run-up to wartime industry mobilization. Unlike branch mints that often produce specialty or limited-run coins, Philadelphia was tasked with sheer supply, and yet paradoxically, it is from that mass production that only a tiny fraction of ultra-high-grade survivors exist today. It is precisely this tension between abundance at birth and scarcity in perfection that gives the finest 1940 pennies their incredible power in the marketplace. While most collectors focus on the obvious value markers like grade and luster, seasoned numismatists know the hidden appeal lies in die-state diagnostics and subtle strike integrity. A double die reverse, an early die state with razor-sharp wheat grains, or an unabraded field surface can instantly multiply value and visual prestige. These layered technical factors elevate the 1940 no-mint mark penny from a basic copper disc to a specialist's prize, a coin that separates casual hobbyists from deliberate connoisseurs. The long-term investment trajectory of such coins has also proven steadily upward, driven by shrinking population reports, expanding collector participation, and the cultural magnetism of Lincoln himself. As more vintage cents are lost to corrosion, mishandling, or hoarding without preservation, the supply of collectible-grade survivors continues to compress, and every compression event strengthens the price floor. In this sense, the 1940 wheat penny is not only a historical keepsake but also a rational asset in a finite market that repeatedly rewards patience and discernment. For collectors who appreciate coins that deliver both narrative power and measurable value, the 1940 Lincoln no-mint mark penny stands firmly among the most gratifying pre-war copper coins to pursue. Whether discovered in a forgotten jar blackened with age or acquired at auction in breathtaking near-perfect form, it embodies the rare convergence of history, scarcity, artistry, and market respect. It is a coin that does more than sit in an album. It commands presence, teaches lessons, and retains value with quiet authority across generations. Another reason the 1940 wheat penny continues to fascinate is its ability to appeal to every tier of collector, from beginners discovering their first copper treasure to elite investors pursuing population-top registry coins. Its story is simple enough for newcomers to grasp, yet complex enough in varieties and grading nuance to satisfy the deepest numismatic intellects. That dual appeal gives the 1940 no-mint mark issue a uniquely durable place in the collecting culture. It never ages out of relevance, never loses its educational value, and never stops exciting those who study it. Even coins found today in extremely dirty, most old, heavily worn condition carry emotional weight because of what they survived, decades of circulation, environmental exposure, and generational transfers, yet they still endure. When contrasted against pristine, uncirculated specimens selling for thousands, these rugged survivors remind us that every valuable coin was once just a working cent in someone's palm. That contrast between the humble origin and the extraordinary destiny of the finest surviving examples is exactly why the 1940 Lincoln wheat penny continues to be seen not just as a collectible, but as a powerful symbol of history preserved in copper. The 1940 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark stands as a compelling blend of historical narrative, design tradition, and scarcity under ideal condition standards, a coin that truly deserves its place among the most admired early U.S. 1-cent issues. For collectors seeking an asset that offers both emotional and investment reward, it remains a powerful and enduring selection, admired by numismatists worldwide and treasured wherever high-grade survivors still exist. Next up, too, in the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark stands as one of the most fascinating and desirable circulating cents that continues to captivate enthusiasts across the numismatic world. Even when discovered in extremely dirty, deeply aged, or heavily circulated states, this coin possesses an aura of historical force. A coin forged in the shadow of the Second World War, still living today as a tangible relic pulled straight from the furnaces of American history. Collectors aggressively pursue the finest, sharpest, and most well-preserved survivors of the 1942 issue because the competition for top-tier certified examples remains fierce, driving values higher year after year. Among strongly struck, extra carefully preserved, and rare variety pieces, this coin rises into the ranks of a prized treasure that holds both emotional and financial energy. The 1942 Lincoln penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when the United States government was mobilizing men, metal, and munitions for a global war that reshaped civilization. The penny itself functioned not only as ordinary circulating money, but as an object intertwined with doors of factories, food lines, and families saving copper for the nation. The no-mint mark 1942 issue, participates in the long-running Lincoln cent series begun in 1909, firmly anchoring it in a celebrated lineage of American coinage. Because it predates the 1943 steel transition and sits at the edge of industrial transformation, the 1942 wheat penny is felt by collectors as a direct metallic witness to the last full year before strategic changes altered the materials of U.S. coinage. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's solemn portrait, sculpted by Victor D. Brenner, continues to dominate the field with quiet authority, a design now inseparable from American identity. The words "In God We Trust" arc above his head, Liberty stands to the left, and 1942 appears to the right without any mint letter, marking it as a Philadelphia strike. The reverse exhibits the bold twin wheat ears framing 1 cent, a layout so iconic that it has become shorthand for nostalgia itself. Struck in standard copper alloy and sized to 19 with typical bronze weight, the coin embodies both purity of design and the artistic seriousness of its era. In crisp, clean, surviving. Although 1942 no-mint mark pennies were minted in large numbers, elite survivors, those that escaped decades of abrasion, grease, grime, and pocket destruction, are extraordinarily challenging to locate. Most circulated pieces today appear extremely dirty, stained, warped, or softened by heavy hand-to-hand history. Premium collectors seek sharply struck pieces with original luster, no corrosion, and clean fields. Scarce error varieties, such as double-die obverse impressions, exceptionally strong strikes, or off-center misalignments, magnify desirability. The combination of wartime origin, early series age, and survival condition is what compresses supply and creates intense bidding pressure around high-grade certified examples. In the modern active coin market, the most exceptional 1942 Philadelphia wheat pennies can command striking prices, especially when tied to superior grading or special varieties. Strongly certified high-grade pieces with attractive color and full details are known to sell between $1,000 and $8,000, depending on strike depth, eye appeal, and documented rarity. Double-die coined examples, problem-free mint state specimens, and unquestioned pedigree offerings fetch the most intense attention at auction. Renewed global demand, as well as increased investor interest in historically rooted coins, continues to reinforce an appreciation trend rather than a decline. For collectors serious about acquiring a powerful 1942 no-mint mark wheat cent, the smartest strategy is to prioritize coins authenticated and graded by trusted services such as PCGS or NGC. Seek strong strike features, natural coloration, and clarity in the lettering and portrait lines. Handling should be avoided. Use protective capsules or certified holders to prevent further deterioration. Engage in dealer networks, online auctions, and collector forums to monitor availability, track variety discussions, and study price actions. Knowledge and patience generate the edge, not speed. What elevates the 1942 wheat penny beyond mere copper is the fusion of story, surviving material, and cultural resonance. It does not need to be polished, cleaned, or artificially restored to radiate importance. Even in deeply aged, gritty, darkened condition, it is a time-stamped testimony of a war-era dollar that once worked in a nation under duress. That intrinsic historical identity adds emotional value atop collectible value, making the coin more than a relic. It is evidence. One of the remarkable qualities of the 1942 wheat penny is that even when discovered in a heavily soiled, darkly toned, or extremely aged state, it still radiates authenticity and collector interest. The layers of dirt and oxidation do not merely represent environmental wear, they represent time itself. Such coins sat in drawers during rationing years, traveled through factory wage envelopes, and moved through a country in wartime urgency. When collectors observe that dirty originality, they often prefer it over aggressively cleaned, stripped surfaces because untouched surfaces preserve mechanical truth. The most powerful specimens in the eyes of historians are not the bright, polished ones, but those retaining their narrative scars. The 1942 Lincoln penny without a mint mark also exerts psychological appeal that transcends its copper mass. People do not simply collect this coin for bronze and numbers, they collect it because it encapsulates the exact intersection of historical pressure and national transition. It is a coin produced while many families waited for news from overseas, and while American factories ran 24 hours a day. That emotional gravity creates a kind of numismatic magnetism. Modern collectors feel they are securing not just an object but inheriting a storyline preserved in metal. That emotional transfer is what makes the coin feel powerful, even when in dirty or battered condition. Unlike modern short-lived speculative pieces that surge and collapse with trends, the 1942 wheat penny stands on the firm foundation of historical anchoring, international recognition, and decades of consistent demand. Investors prefer artifacts whose narratives cannot evaporate. This coin's war context, Lincoln portrait legacy, and Wheat reverse era guarantee perpetual scholarly relevance. Auction houses continue to list premium examples, registry collectors continue seeking upgrades, and global buyers still respond to well-certified specimens with confident bids. That is the behavior of a coin category not fatting, but compounding. Taken as a whole, the wartime birth, the timeless Brenner portrait, the Wheat reverse identity, the scarcity of high-grade survivors, and the emotionally charged legacy. The 1942 Philadelphia wheat cent stands as a crown-level acquisition for anyone building a serious Lincoln collection. It is the precise combination of historic charge and collectible scarcity that keeps this coin discussed, displayed, and defended within advanced portfolios. Whether discovered in a dark, forgotten drawer or appearing under bright auction lighting, it continues to assert itself as a lasting, respected, and financially meaningful artifact in the active numismatic world. The 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny operates simultaneously as a historical artifact, a collector's pursuit, and an investment vehicle with long-term upward pressure. Its wartime origin, iconic design identity, and survival rarity make it a prized treasure with permanent appeal to numismatists worldwide. For collectors ready to own a slice of tangible American past, one that blends artistry, scarcity, and market power, this coin remains a thrilling and rewarding target, standing as one of the most compelling wheat pennies ever to endure. Next up, in the United States, 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, even when discovered in harshly dirty, naturally aged, and heavily time-worn condition, continues to stand as one of the most captivating and emotional pieces in American small cent collecting culture. It fascinates collectors because it is not merely a coin. It is a battlefield-era survivor from the closing chapter of World War II, a copper disc that physically witnessed the world's transition from destruction to victory and rebuilding. In recent active demand, top collectors chase the rarest and strongest examples of this coin not only for profit, but for the feeling of owning a tangible pulse of 1940s America. The 1945 wheat penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark at a time when the United States was sending its final military resources abroad, rationing metal domestically, and preparing for post-war economic restructuring. It marks the last full wartime-era copper cent before the U.S. shifted to peacetime production. This puts the 1945 piece in a uniquely charged historical frame, minted as the country prepared for victory parades, military discharges, and the closing of one of the most powerful global conflicts ever known. This coin occupies an emotional fork in numismatic chronology, bridging early wheat cents of pre-war America with late-series pieces minted in an emerging industrial victorious nation. It is a physical timeline marker between sacrifice and prosperity. Within the Lincoln Wheat series 1909-1958, the 1945 no-mint mark cent is viewed as a last wartime narrative issue, which gives it a story-based premium above common mid-1950s circulation cents. On the obverse, the immortal portrait of Abraham Lincoln radiates statesmanlike power even when caked in circulation grime or dulled by decades of pocket friction. The Liberty legend and the date 1945 stand as bold declarations of national identity and victory-era timing. The absence of a mint mark directly announces its Philadelphia origin. In sharply struck preserved examples, Lincoln's cheekbones, jawline, and collar fold leap with sculptural authority, the artwork still celebrated today for its classical American dignity. The reverse explodes with the formula of patriotic symbolism. Twin wheat stalks curving as agricultural wreaths around the 1 cent and United States of America, with the elevated motto EPLURIBUS UNUM declaring unity through adversity. When found uncleaned and naturally aged, the darkened recesses between devices give the coin a gritty battlefield character. While 1945 cents were struck in vast numbers, the hunt is not for sheer existence. The hunt is for top-end survivors in specific powerful varieties. Double-die obverses, early-state fresh-die examples, and high-grade coins with zero environmental damage are dramatically scarce. Combine that with the fact that most 1945 cents lived brutal working lives in commerce, and true upper-end survivors become intensely difficult to locate. Condition dictates market power. Circulated, damaged, grimy field-pulled pennies still hold story value, but certified mint-state 1945 no-mint mark cents with booming original luster, crisp rims, and undisturbed color can command serious attention. Even a single grade jump, MS63 to MS65, can reposition the coin into higher buyer competition because visually superior coins carry both aesthetic magnetism and investment credibility. In today's active specialty market, top-tier 1945 no-mint mark cents in elite uncirculated or rare double-die states have been known to reach into the $1,000 to $8,000 band under the right pressure of competition, especially when certified by PCGS or NGC. The combination of wartime proximity, strong die state, and immaculate preservation fuels aggressive bidding. Momentum for documented, problem-free survivors is climbing steadily because long-term collectors are prioritizing historically loaded material over generic modern bull. For serious collectors, the path is discipline. Buy only from reputable auction houses or vetted dealers, insist on encapsulated and graded examples, train the eye to identify strike strength and doubling, and avoid clean coins at all cost. Store in inert plastic holders, control humidity, and never polish. Originality is money. Joining collector forums and auction preview rooms offers intelligence on trend shifts long before public catalogs reflect them. One of the most electrifying triggers for collector pursuit is the presence of dramatic striking errors on the 1945 no-mint mark wheat penny. A strong off-center strike, a retained cud, a die crack that travels across Lincoln's portrait like a scar of wartime stress, or a double die that exaggerates the date or letters transforms a basic wartime artifact into a trophy-tier specimen. Specialists in U.S. errors pay steep premiums because these mechanical anomalies are literally unrepeatable. They freeze one precise mechanical failure in the life of a 1945 press machine. When such pieces surface, especially uncleaned and with confirmed authenticity, they enter an entirely different market bracket than standard circulation survivors. In the modern era of numismatic investment, third-party authentication is not a suggestion. It is a weapon of legitimacy. A 1945 wheat cent in a PCGS, NGC, or ANACS slab with proper attribution, e.g. MS grade, double die obverse, struck off-center, or uncirculated brown-red, instantly escalates its liquidity and investor confidence. Slabbed coins command stronger auction bidding because the risk of cleaning, counterfeiting, or undisclosed defects is removed. That stamp of validation, enclosed in an airtight holder, upgrades the coin from interesting metal to institutionally certified historical wealth. Coins like the 1945 wheat cent do not grow in value because of hype. They grow because time continuously destroys their competitors. Every year, more unprotected cents corrode in drawers, are lost in warehouses, discarded in bulk, or improperly cleaned by uninformed owners. Meanwhile, well-preserved, slabbed, original, variety-verified examples do not increase in number. They shrink relative to demand. That shrinking supply, combined with expanding global access to auctions, is precisely why long-term price appreciation on select 1940s wheat cents is not speculative fantasy but market mechanics inevitability. Among collectors, there is a category called vault keepers. Coins that once obtained do not get traded off lightly. The 1945 no-mint mark wheat cent in high-grade or dramatic variety form belongs to that category because it satisfies all three pillars of lasting desirability: narrative power, last victory year wartime cent; artistic identity, the most famous American portrait cent design pre-memorial; and survival rarity in top condition. A coin that activates all three of these dimensions is the kind of specimen that collectors tuck away for legacy portfolios rather than rotation profit, which is exactly why it continues to magnetize disciplined buyers with patience and purpose. This 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny stands high not merely because it is copper, but because it is climax-era American time embedded in metal. It represents the end of global war, the endurance of democratic identity, the resilience of value across generations, and a direct physical tether to the most decisive decade of the 20th century. For the dedicated numismatist, securing a powerful example of this coin is not just an acquisition. It is the claiming of a wartime artifact, a narrative investment, and a guaranteed conversation jewel for as long as serious coin history is studied. Next up, in the 1944 D Lincoln wheat penny with the D mint mark lives in the numismatic imagination like a relic welded in time, especially when encountered in the most dirty, most old, chain-bearing, battlefield-worn aesthetic condition that collectors romanticize as powerfully original. Even though billions of cents were struck in wartime years, a properly pedigreed 1944 D piece, especially one tied to a variety or showing exceptional eye appeal beneath the grime, behaves in the market like a magnet that pulls in bidders, turning what appears to be a humble copper cent into a prized treasure with commanding psychology. The 1944 D wheat cent was struck in Denver at the close of World War II, while industrial furnaces glowed for war production, and the U.S. Mint scrambled to stabilize coinage metal. After experimenting with steel in 1943, the mint returned to bronze in 1944 by melting down spent shell casings, making the 1944 issues a direct physical echo of wartime output. That means this coin is not merely a monetary token, it is a literal fusion of home front industry and battlefield waste, a penny born out of the disassembly of war materiel, embedding it as a tangible connection to the past and to the final chapters of the global conflict. The obverse retains Victor David Brenner's solemn bust of Abraham Lincoln, his engraved profile floating like a silent witness to the 20th century's defining conflict. Under the date sits the D mint mark, anchoring the coin to the Rocky Mountain facility responsible for a massive share of wartime output. The reverse carries the iconic twin wheat stalks bracketing the denomination, a design now gone from active coinage, which adds to its nostalgic pull. The size 19 and bronze alloy 95% copper with tin and zinc deliver a deep canonical flavor that collectors instantly recognize as pure wheat-era DNA. Even though the mintage crossed hundreds of millions, rarity in numismatics is condition-driven, not merely population-driven. Nice, non-damaged, sharply struck, correctly attributed 1944 Ds in high eye appeal states are aggressively contested. The market especially reacts when a coin shows either variety traits like doubled dies or misplaced mint marks, or comes with impeccable authentication in uncirculated near-mint encapsulation, where original mint luster explodes under light, something decisively absent in heavily handled survivors. Collectors love the romantic mood of the most dirty and most old and most chained survivor, but the money in the market typically flows toward clean, graded, stabilized, high-end specimens. Still, an extremely dirty coin that later reveals strong original surfaces under professional conservation can jump tiers instantly. This latent potential is exactly why the 1944 D attracts treasure hunter psychology. The feeling that under that century of dirt lives an uncirculated ghost with cash value waiting to be unlocked. When a 1944 D coin appears in XF, AU, or MS states with attractive surfaces and especially if linked to a recognized variety or shell casing pedigree provenance, auction prices realistically live in the $1,000 to $8,000 corridor, depending on grade strength, certification holder, strike quality, and bidding environment. Numismatists pay premiums for wartime dates with visible originality and zero major damage, and population reports show that high-end certified 1944 Ds do not saturate the registry market. The Wheat Cent series has one of the deepest collector bases of any U.S. coinage lineage. That alone fuels ongoing demand. Add the built-in romance of bullet metal turned to money, the fact that this coin is a direct WWII industrial artifact, and the cultural halo around Lincoln iconography, and you get a specimen that never falls off the collector radar. Its demand is self-renewing as new generations enter the hobby. Serious buyers chase certified coins first, then vetted raw coins from vetted sellers. They check for doubling around Liberty, the date, and wheat lines. They screen rims for dents, fields for pitting, and legends for strike weakness. They avoid amateur cleaning and instead house coins in inert acrylic slabs or archival flips, avoiding skin-destroying PVC and hand contact. They follow auction records and dealer briefs to time purchases while the market swings. Collectors who target 1944 Ds for long-hold portfolios are not just buying copper, they are buying narrative weight, the psychological premium attached to war metal coinage and the evergreen hunger for Lincoln wheat chronology. That narrative is exactly what supports value resilience even in down cycles. This is an object with permanent storyline, not just commodity metal. The uppermost tier of 1944 D wheat cents that explode in value tend to be tied to recognized varieties that create separation in a crowded population. Examples include double die obverse instances that show swelling or shadowed lettering around Liberty or In God We Trust, repunched mint marks where the D is stamped more than once, or transitional planchet anomalies where an incorrect metal blank was struck during production chaos. These are intervention points where a penny stops being a 90-year-old piece of metal and becomes a story-bearing object with competitive cash gravity, turning the numismatist's hunt into a detective exercise with auction consequences. When a sharply preserved, certified, lustrous 1944 D surfaces on an auction floor or digital sale with confirmed attributes, the bidding pattern shifts tone instantly. There is no casual pace, only measured aggression. Bidders sitting on registry sets, wartime thematic collections, or copper-centric portfolios push increment after increment not because they need a cent, but because they fear market regret, the psychological trigger where a missed opportunity today costs 3 times as much in the future. Observers often describe these lots as room tilting because they reset price memory in real time. A core misunderstanding among beginners is that high mintage equals low value. Veteran collectors know the opposite is often true in wheat sense. Rarity begins at the top of the pyramid. Billions may have been minted, but the number of coins that survived wartime circulation with untouched rims, solid strike definition, and no corrosion is infinitesimal. That is why a single MS-66 red example might command thousands while millions of circulated 1940s languish in the pennies per piece category. Condition converts abundance into functional scarcity. Many of the most dramatic value stories in wartime sense begin with an ugly, dark, dead coin, found in a coffee can or estate box that later reveals shockingly high surfaces after professional non-abrasive treatment. When thickness of grime is removed under controlled conservation, details can reappear like waking muscle, wheat lines sharpen, Lincoln's cheek regains flesh, mint frost unsuspected beneath oxidation lights up under magnification. This is the numismatic equivalent of a buried relic re-weaponized, and it is exactly why treasure hunter psychology attaches itself to the 1944D era. Unlike trend coins fueled by hype waves, the 1944D wheat penny exists inside a permanent demand cycle. Lincoln imagery is culturally rooted. The wheat series is already fully discontinued. WWII metallurgian coins have an eternal narrative lane, and new collectors continuously enter the hobby through these early 20th century gateways. That means the market is not shrinking but replenishing, a slow generational spiral upward rather than a boom-bust signature. This is the distinguishing trait that cements the 1944D as both historical artifact and durable investment logic, not a passing enthusiasm. The 1944D wheat penny with the D mint mark sits in numismatics as a powerful wartime echo, a nostalgia engine, and a price-relevant collectible whose best examples legitimately command four-figure attention. Its mixture of history, artistry, mint heritage, and scarcity under condition pressure makes it a captivating, pursuit-worthy addition for anyone building a wheat cent ladder or a war-era type set. It is not merely a cent, it is a compressed sliver of 1940s America made permanent in metal and still captivating enthusiasts worldwide. Next up to in the 1953D Lincoln wheat penny stands as a distinguished and actively studied artifact in United States numismatics, particularly when examined through the lens of its minting integrity, preservation, and performance in the current collector market. While millions were produced for ordinary circulation, only a very small fraction survived in a state suitable for advanced collecting, grading, and investment. Even in very dirty, old, and heavily circulated states, such coins still draw examination as physical links to mid-century U.S. monetary policy and industrial mint operations. In contrast, examples preserved in exceptional grades or exhibiting special varieties command substantial interest and premium valuation at leading venues for certified U.S. coins. This coin was struck in 1953 at the Denver Mint, during the continuation of the Lincoln Wheat Reverse Series 1909-1958. Its production reflects post-war economic conditions in the United States, with the mint servicing a rapidly growing cash-based economy. The year 1953 falls within the final decade of the wheat reverse era, offering collectors a mid-series specimen that documents Henry S. Linderman's earlier reforms and the enduring popularity of Brenner's Lincoln portrait first adopted in 1909. As a federal issue without commemorative status, it is a standard circulation piece, but historically meaningful as a deliberate continuation of America's longest-running portrait coin. The obverse bears Victor David Brenner's enduring bust of Abraham Lincoln, a design revered for its fidelity and symbolism. The reverse features the two wheat stock motif with 1 cent and United States of America, framed by EPLURBUSUNUM, struck in bronze composition approx. 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, a standard alloy of the period. The D mint mark beneath the date identifies production at Denver. In extremely clean, original surface mint state examples, the coin exhibits full luster, sharp detail, and intact strike lines, features absent in dirty, aged circulation finds but critical in determining elite-grade classification. Although the mintage was comparatively high, collector rarity does not derive from raw population, but from the vanishingly small survival rate in pristine condition with original surfaces and no contact impairment. Most surviving examples are dirty, worn, and visually degraded from decades of circulation, storage, and handling. Certified high-grade red RD mint state survivors are scarce, and examples at MS67 and above are statistically rare. Additionally, certain repunched mint mark (RPM) varieties and limited population strike anomalies contribute further scarcity layers independent of grade. The 1953D is known to exhibit several collectible varieties including repunched D mint marks, potential minor doubled dies and strike anomalies such as modest off-center impressions. While common strike defects are numismatically negligible, documented and validated RPM or true doubled die varieties in high-grade preservation create secondary rarity. These special designations consistently outperform standard strikes at auction when certified by major grading services with variety attribution. In line with general market behavior for mid-century wheat cents, circulated dirty and aged examples command minimal premium, usually nominal. However, certified high-grade mint state specimens, especially in MS66 to MS67 red, enter a premium valuation tier. Elite examples and variety-attributed high-grade coins have been documented in ranges between $1,000 and $8,000, depending on the combination of grade, color designation, RD/RB brown, surface integrity, and attribution status. Market records and private sale performance show consistent stability for top-end certified survivors. Premium realization for this issue is not speculative but structural, driven by a combination of statistical survival scarcity, authentication confidence, and presentation. Independent third-party certification from PCGS or NGC is a non-negotiable standard for coins in the investment tier. Appeal, originality, full strike, unimpacted fields, and recognized varieties directly influence bidder confidence. Even microscopic impairments or altered surfaces disqualify candidates from premium categories and depress value dramatically. Serious collectors prioritize coins graded and encapsulated by PCGS or NGC, often pursuing registry-eligible specimens or documented variety listings, e.g. RPM attribution. Collectors should avoid raw high-grade offerings without chain of custody and avoid coins showing signs of cleaning, corrosion, or environmental damage. Acquisition through reputable auction platforms, established dealers, or verified consignments mitigates authenticity and alteration risk. Knowledge of die markers and known variety diagnostics remains advantageous when targeting this issue. High-grade 1953D cents demand in-slab storage under controlled humidity and temperature to preserve luster and color stability. Raw specimens intended for future submission should be stored in inert, non-PVC holders with minimal handling and zero direct contact with skin oils or abrasive surfaces. Environmental contaminants that cause surface tunning or corrosion can degrade both aesthetic and monetary value, making preventative storage practice a decisive factor in long-term viability. The 1953D issue occupies a mid-range position in terms of absolute availability, but rises considerably in collecting hierarchy once restricted to certified high-grade survivors. It does not share the intrinsically famous scarcity profile of 1909 SVDB or 1914D, nor the wartime curiosity status of the 1943 steel cent, yet it attracts consistent demand because it is one of the few mid-century issues that can legitimately enter the $1,000 performance tier under the right certification conditions. This duality, common as a circulated object, scarce as an investment caliber specimen, is precisely what secures its continued attention in competitive registry environments. The 1953D demonstrates a predictable stratification. Circulated coins rarely appear at all, mid-grade uncertified offerings clear quickly at minimal premiums, while high-grade certified MS-Red or variety-attributed lots attract concentrated, data-driven bidding. Institutional bidders and advanced private collectors selectively pursue only the top registry-eligible classes. The coin does not exhibit speculative volatility. Instead, its price curve shows the controlled, incremental appreciation pattern typical of grade scarcity U.S. copper, where population data is stable and authentication protocols are standardized. This gives it utility as a portfolio-stable collectible. Serious engagement with the 1953D requires competency in differentiating original surfaces from improved ones, especially in copper where chemical cleaning, artificial brightening, and retunning are widespread. Error or variety attribution must be treated with restraint, as minor mechanical doubling or incidental strike weakness is routinely misrepresented online as collectible doubling. Only those specimens with demonstrable die-state diagnostics recognized by established attribution systems, e.g. Wechsler FS designations or PCGS Variety Plus, qualify for advanced valuation. The coin's upward pricing is supported not by optimism, but by the discipline of documentation. Museum, academic, and curriculum-driven collections often include representative mid-series wheat cents such as the 1953D to illustrate the continuity of federal copper coinage design before the adoption of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Its clean typological lineage, abundant reference literature, and absence of political or commemorative complexity make it an ideal instructional specimen. In curatorial environments, high-grade certified examples are sometimes displayed not for rarity sensationalism, but as benchmarks of minting uniformity, die preparation quality, and industrial mint throughput during the Eisenhower era. From a future orientation standpoint, the 1953D is positioned for continued stability rather than a speculative jump. Registry competition, generational turnover in advanced collections, and finite census of premium survivors will sustain upper-tier premiums. The industrial and historical context anchoring the coin ensures enduring scholarly relevance. While the dirty, worn examples most commonly encountered in circulation sets carry negligible financial weight, the certified elite fraction retains dual value, both as a condition rarity and as a stable reference point in mid-century United States bronze coinage. Its standing is not transient. It is an anchored, repeatably verifiable component of the structured numismatic market. Viewed through a professional numismatic lens, the 1953D Lincoln Wheat Penny is not inherently rare by mintage, but achieves notable importance when filtered through survival quality, certified grade, and variety attribution. Its status as a mid-series Denver wheat cent grants it historical continuity, while its limited representation in top state preservation underpins its appeal to registry and investment-oriented collectors. As a tangible, copper-based artifact of 1950s U.S. coinage, it holds ongoing relevance, and in its finest documented states, it functions simultaneously as a historical document, a condition rarity asset, and a stable, institutionally recognizable collectible.